with us is also Laura Barker, another clinician here working at the Counseling Center. And we basically just wanted to let everybody know what our services were, that we are available during COVID, even though it's in limited kind of way. But we wanted to let people know, first and foremost, that we are here for anybody, and that if they have any questions, that we encourage people to reach out either by phone, by email, filling out an intake form. And we are trying to answer questions within an hour or two of receiving the email during regular work hours. But just to give a little bit more information, we are here co-located with the health center. And for everybody that knows or doesn't know, the health center is at the corner, the northwest corner of Fidel, and we can only be accessed from the outside of the building. And it's basically our services are paid for as part of student fees. So the services that we offer here are free to all currently enrolled undergrad and graduate students. And we encourage the students to utilize our services, which include individual, couples counseling, crisis intervention, safety assessments, and consultations. We work with a lot of issues, including depression, anxiety, decision-making skills, when people feel like they're losing motivation, maybe they've been here a while, how to effectively manage stress, and maybe homesickness and even grief. And our services are strictly confidential, so we encourage people to come in if they have anything that they need to talk about. And again, our services are free. So also throughout the academic year, we offer some outreach programs, and we also partner with other departments to offer some psychoeducational and skill building workshops. Basically, that can include an in-person workshop on, I think the last one we did was intergenerational communication. We have been trying to figure out if people want some little webinars on anxiety or depression, but we are always open to feedback and suggestions. And when we are going to offer a program, the information will be listed on the NMT academic calendar 2 weeks prior to the event taking place. So people will know ahead of time that we are offering something. And with the COVID now, we are trying to find ways to offer some of our services online. So in that vein, we are able to do counseling via Zoom if that is an option that appeals to students. We can do sessions over the phone if it's easier, and if they also don't have stable internet connection. Right now, we are not seeing clients in our office, but hopefully when the fall starts up, we will be able to see people in our office and give people the option whether or not they would like the phone, in person, or the Zoom meetings going forward. Basically, that's it in a nutshell. Laura, did you have anything that you wanted to add to any of this?
I suppose the only other thing I would add is just to also make sure that we're pointing out that counseling is not only for people who are having difficulties, but it's also for people who just need someone to talk to maybe figure out what decision is the best decision I can make. But also making sure you're aware that we are not the type of school counselors you had when you were in high school. We primarily focus on mental health, but if you have questions about registration, those are questions far better for either the registrar or your advisor, just to make sure you don't get us confused with other services here on campus.
Right. But even if you come in and we start there, that's still a good place to start, because I know that can be stressful. And again, we are here to help you manage your stress better. If anyone is interested in reaching us, they can call us at 575-835-6619, and you will meet our administrative assistant, Andrea, who will be more than happy to direct your call. Or you can contact us at counseling@nmt.edu for any kind of questions, or if you would like to just go and fill out an intake form online, if you go to nmt.edu and you type in the little magnifying glass counseling, Our site will pop up. You just click on it, you read through, and at the bottom you will have an intake form either for new students or for returning students if we haven't seen you in a while, just so we can update your information. But again, we have a number of different ways for you to contact us to ask any questions. And even if you are interested in just finding information out for a friend, we are very willing to support you and offer ways that you can help friends that are going through difficult times. Hopefully then we can have you refer them to us. But you know, if the worst case scenario is they don't want to come in and you just need some support, we're here for you. So it's not just for those students in need, but those supporting them as well.
Angela, it's David Cox. Sorry I got in here a minute or two late,
That's
having
okay.
other Zoom meetings, as you can imagine. Tell me that number again, 835, what are the last four digits, the extension?
835-6619, and that is the main number of the counseling center.
Okay, I'm going to just put that on chat so everybody can see it.
Sure.
And that way, if you are interested in getting that number and putting it into your information source, that's great. So you guys really are just trying to help people figure out the lay of the land in life while they're here at Tech, right? That give them a chance to talk through things. And
exactly. Yeah. And it's stressful, especially for students who are coming to college for the first time, to figure out time management, to figure out how to manage their stress, to figure some struggles out of relationships, how to be away from home for the first time. So we offer a lot of support in that area. We definitely offer support in the regular, what is considered regular mental health concerns, like if you're depressed or if you have anxiety, PTSD. We work a lot with students around those three. ADHD. So those are just a few of the mental health concerns that people can come in and we can support them with. Laura, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
Not right now. I think that covered it pretty well to answer his question.
Okay.
Well, what I'm thinking about with that is that certainly those main ones are also places that if in talking to them, if you needed to refer them to someone, you could do that?
Absolutely, and it depends on what it is they're looking for. So again, as Laura brought up earlier, we have students coming in who are stressed out about what classes to choose, and they have come to us kind of thinking that we're like school counselors in high school, where we help them find their classes, and we can help them manage the stress around that, but then we are very able to then say, hey, this is the next person that you will need to contact in order to get more direct information. But if you're concerned about someone in particular, if you're concerned about someone's immediate safety, we always suggest you call campus police or the local police immediately. Sure. To make sure that that person is safe. But if you're moderately concerned about someone and what's going on, whether you think they're drinking too much, whether they've been isolating, whether they're showing some signs that they're acting different, or you're just worried about them, you can fill out a report, a bit report for the behavioral intervention team. And that also, you type in nmt.edu, you get that magnifying glass at the top right corner, and you put in BIT, and our site will come up. And good. On that, on the bottom, it's an intake form that you fill out for anyone that you're moderately concerned about. And I say moderately because, again, if you're concerned about someone's immediate safety, you can't leave them alone and you're worried, you need to call the police. However, if you're like, well, nothing's going to happen right now, you know, they should be fine tomorrow, you fill out the bit report, and then we get that, because I'm the facilitator of the behavioral intervention team here on campus, we get that email as soon as you submit it, and we look at those every day during Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So if you send it on the weekend, we're not going to see it until Monday. And again, immediate concern, you want to call the local police or campus police. But we definitely support people in saying, hey, you can do it anonymously. People get worried that we're going to get a report. We're going to call that person and say, hey, David Cox just filled out a report about you. They're worried about you. And we don't do that. Normally, we're not going to say, hey, we got a report on you. We're going to say, hey, we're concerned about you. Let's see how we can help. And
Sure.
so we are definitely going to try and find the least intrusive, embarrassing, or weird, awkward way of making sure that we reach out to someone to support them, to let them know. So do not be afraid to fill out one of those bit reports, whether it's anonymously or not. We suggest that people don't fill them out anonymously, because if there isn't enough information to act on it, we can't do anything, and we don't want people to think we're just leaving people hanging. Sometimes we need to call up and get a little extra information, but again, we do not then tell the person you're concerned about, hey, David just called us and he's really worried. We will not do that. So we encourage people to fill out bit reports and leave some contact information just in case. It's very, very rare that we've ever had to contact someone after they've filled out a report. But during the bit report, if it looks like they might need counseling, we again would try and find a way to reach out to that student and let them know that we are here, or have another trusted friend or person say, hey, I can walk you over to the counseling center if you're in need of something right now, and let's go talk to them. That gets a little scary though for some of our students.
Yes.
So what we suggest is that, hey, you know, if your friend is too worried about just coming in for a session, why don't you have them call us or email us and just ask general questions about who we are. That way it doesn't seem so weird when they have a concern and they need to meet with someone. So we really try to find as many ways as possible to reach out to students, to not seem so, I guess, scary, and to know that we're here to support you and for no other reason. And so we just want to make sure that you're safe, that you're comfortable, and that your needs are met. And so in supporting a student, if we find that they have other needs related to tech, we are going to refer them to that department.
Mhm.
And we may even call that department directly to get a name, to say, hey, I'm sending this person over, to make sure that it's a warm handoff and it's not someone walking in cold to an office going, I was told to come here. We're definitely trying to make sure that students are aware we want to support you, make sure that you know that you're not alone.
Now, I note you've got the bit report. I know when the peer mentors are going to be dealing more with perhaps students on campus in August, that would be a good way for them to make a contact, I'm assuming.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
it's for anybody. So even if there was someone in the community or someone in another state concerned about someone at tech, all they have to do is fill out that report, and we are definitely going to look into it, whether or not they're a student or not. If we are able to and they're related to tech, we are definitely going to look into it and see how we can support that person and find resources at the very least.
Okay. Last fall, you had a great program that started off the semester, and I'm not exactly sure how you might pull it off with let's say the COVID-19 stuff and us being a little bit hybridized as we start the semester. Yes. But do you remember what I'm talking about?
I know exactly. It's Fresh Check Day, and it's a mental health awareness and skill building kind of activity-based event. And it's funny because I just watched a webinar on it this afternoon about how to live stream it, which totally leaves me overwhelmed because I guess if we really wanted to do it, I'm thinking that I would love to have it in person. I think part of the charm of it is the engagement and having support from other people. And it was very well received. We had over 200 participants last year. Everyone had a really good time. There was free food, there was music, there were activities to do, and in the process, people learned about things they could do to support their own mental health and well-being. And right now we're trying to figure out when we're going to have it, how we are going to have it, because it's a little difficult. I think I would have to have it either in person or online. I don't think that we could do both, and both of them are kind of time consuming and plan consuming. And so once we figure that out, we are definitely going to have it again. It's just that after watching the webinar, I got to think about that a little bit and see what our reality will look like in the fall, if that's a possibility. But we are definitely planning on having it at some point, if not the fall, then the spring.
Okay. And we've been allies kind of on that type of thing anyway with the peer mentors and with the library as well. But I remember there was a lot of activities with that last year.
We had about 10 separate booths. And like I said, over 200 people participating. And a lot of people, you only had to do so many booths, go to so many booths and get your stamp to say that you participated. And a lot of people went to every single booth, which was great to see. So it looked like they really enjoyed themselves.
Wonderful.
And we definitely look forward to allying with you again in the future.
Yeah. Do others on this conference have some questions for Angela or thoughts or things you want to ask? Please go ahead.
I think that event that you guys held was very helpful the last fall. One thing that I do try to tell a lot of like my friends and people that I talk to that I don't think a lot of students know is how we do get the free counseling. That is kind of part of our tuition.
Right.
So definitely you guys promoting that at events like that is super helpful, because a lot of people don't know about it. And then of course maybe they don't want to talk that they know about it or whatever, but I always try to at least promote it a little bit, because it is very helpful and it's very yeah, it's just helpful in general.
And you're right, and people don't mind something or pay attention to something when it's not something they need at the moment. So an incoming student probably is thinking, everything's going to be great, I'm doing great. Even for the first few weeks that might be the case, and then midterms come around and they start to get stressed and they don't realize, oh, I should have paid attention. So you're absolutely right. I think that we have to keep getting the message out, and I think we're getting better with that. We are learning different ways to do that. This is one way that we're doing that. Our website is now updated. It's got some interactive things on there, some links that it didn't have before. And so we're hoping that people will just type it in and see that and be able to ask us lots of questions. We love it when we get emails from students going, hey, how do I do this? Or, hey, I have this concern. And we're able to give a little bit of feedback, give a little bit of support, and then, encourage them to come in for more support and a plan, because a plan is always good. But you're absolutely right, Victoria. People don't necessarily know about it because when you're first coming in and the summer's starting and the semester is new, everything seems great. And why would you think about it if, you're not needing it at the time? So I appreciate you reaching out to students and getting the word out. And again, if there's any thoughts or suggestions on how we could do that, we're always welcoming suggestions. And hey, you'd like to see this from your counseling center. Great, let's see how we can implement that. So thank you for that. Laura, did you want to add something?
I did. So on that note, on a few occasions, we've also been asked to go and either do something with the RAs or to join with RAs on events that they're hosting for their floor. Mm-hmm. So if that is something that you are interested in, we need maybe 2-3 weeks notice at least, but we'd also be willing to do something with peer mentors, or if any RAs end up hearing this, or if one of the people who hears this decides they want to start a club and they want to make sure that their members know about mental health services, we'd be glad to also partner with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And going forward, we're going to be partnering at some point with the recreation department to get some mental health mindfulness on our website and their website as well. And hopefully what that will look like are things that students can log in and see on over the internet, but that we can post them so that way if you don't want to do deep breathing for 10 minutes on a Friday, you can go in on Saturday and look in and do it on your own and have access to that later. So that's something we've been talking about, especially in this time of COVID. How do we make things more friendly for students when you can't have that in-person touch? So again, we're working on things, we're coming up with ideas, but again, we're always welcoming new ideas.
You guys have a button, I think, on our Discord channels And that's going to be helpful, I think, especially with the issues of, like you say, being together or touch, or, or being in the same group room, let's say, to talk to other people. I know in previous years, we've had with peer mentors, for example, a big gathering. Oh, there's no way to do that at this point, hopefully in the future. So I think that the Discord channel is working in that it gives at least some sort of a virtual or a digital type of experience, and that's been working. I don't know if you've gotten contacts via that or not yet. So maybe it's too soon to tell.
Laura is our technology person, and even though I started the Discord, Laura was great enough to go in and do the setup because she was very familiar with it. And I know that she's had a couple of inquiries on the site. I'm not exactly sure how many, but she's been doing wonderful in overseeing that right now. So yes, send us anything at any mode, in any way, in any fashion. We're definitely going to be interested and want to offer you feedback as best we can.
One thing that you guys, I don't know if this is, Dr. Cox, if this is a good idea, but it would probably be cool if you, like you said, like those 10-minute like breathing sessions or whatever. If you were to post stuff like that on the Discord, and then like let the mentors know when you're going to post something like that. And that way we could like let the students know, that way they can go check it out, and that way it's there on the chat too, so they can come back to it. And even if it's like little motivational quotes and stuff like that, whatever you guys post and stuff like that, that would be cool to have on the chat.
That's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idea. And to be honest, Victoria, I didn't know that we could do that. Like I said, I'm the one who's technology challenged, and Laura is the one who is not. And so I appreciate learning that. And I know that Laura likes doing those things. And so we'll be working in trying to make sure that whatever we do in terms of our programming for the counseling center, meaning any kind of psychoeducational or skill building things that we do, we're going to try to make sure that it's offered at a later date on some sort of internet forum, whether that is Discord, or that is our site, or that is paired with the OSL. I'm not exactly sure, but we're definitely going to be doing as best we can to make sure that the word is out there and that students have resources that are local. And again, because if someone goes on and then they have a question about, hey, I really like that 10-minute deep breathing. Do you have anything else like that? Maybe we can send them something that we have, maybe just in writing. But we're definitely working on expanding, and this is new territory for all of us. So it's all new. So we're just doing our best and coming up with some great ideas in the process. So thank you, Victoria.
We just had a couple new people come on to view the chat that we're going through with this Tech Spotlight. So I just want to remind folks that what we have here is Angela and Laura, who are over in the counseling center area and help with many different things. And if you might have questions, you could either use the Zoom group chat, or you can kind of come in and ask them a question at this point. And we've just been going over the type of resources and the type of opportunities you can use with this group. So
I guess people are just interested in listening right now. I know, but we do have when I went over what we offer, so we do offer individual sessions with clients. We offer couples counseling as long as one of those people in the couple is a student. We offer crisis intervention. So if you have a friend who's having a crisis and they can't function, everyone knows what that looks like. I don't necessarily have to describe it. Everyone just kind of, knows it when they see it. Bring them here, give us a call, ask for our support, ask for input. We can come up with a plan. We do safety assessments. Basically, if someone is suicidal, we can do an assessment to see if they need to go inpatient, and then we can actually make those arrangements to get them to the next step in the process. And so that's really important that people know that they don't have to do it on their own. And then there's consultations. And by consultations, let's say, David, people are worried about you, and your best friend comes in and says, you know what, I'm worried about David. He seems depressed and he's drinking a lot more, and he hasn't been going to class. What can I do because he doesn't want to come to counseling? That's a great question. And let's sit and talk about how we can support you and what you can do for David to make sure that David gets what he needs and what you get what you need, because it is very stressful being the friend and supporter of someone who is suicidal, because that's a very big responsibility for someone to carry. And we also encourage people never to make promises that you are going to keep that secret that someone is suicidal. We really want people to reach out, because, you know, someone may be okay right now and you say, okay, they'll be fine tonight. And then in 2 hours, something has changed and they're back to that crisis mode, and you're not around and no one's around, and that person's feeling very hopeless. And so again, we want to make sure that that responsibility isn't falling on you, and that your friend gets the support that they need. So that's what we mean by some of the services that we're offering one-to-one with people. Again, we have faculty calling us going, hey, I have this student, I don't know what to do. That's fine. Tell me what's going on or what you feel comfortable telling us, and we'll come up with a plan. And then we'll come up with some resources to make sure that everyone knows that they're not alone in this and they don't have to do it alone, and that all you have to do is ask. We're here. We'll do whatever we can to help.
Yeah, caregiving is a very hard thing to do sometimes. Not because you don't care about the person, but you get to the point that you could feel overwhelmed or not sure what the next step is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
And Angela, you all have obviously the counseling center. What about the disability center? Would you be able to, the disability services, sorry, would you be able to talk more about that?
Absolutely. So disability services is available for anyone with a documented disability. And that could be anything from a learning disorder to vision impairment to hearing impairment to any kind of mobility issues. It could even be that you were in an accident and need a certain kind of desk in class. And we support that and we help with that. It could be that you need a certain kind of, you need air conditioning in your room because you have some sort of medical condition that requires that. So we make sure that you have that. But all you have to do is email disability@nmt.edu. Again, disability@nmt.edu, and say, hey, I just need support. And that's how you start the process right there. And you know, we'll email back, we'll find out what's going on, we'll let you know what the protocol is, the process, to make sure that you're supported every step of the way in trying to get any kind of services. And all you need to do is say, hey, I think I need support here, and we're going to talk to you about your options. Now, I need to throw something out there right now, that Counseling Center and Disability Services have up until this point been one department. And starting this summer, Disability Services and the Counseling Center are now splitting and becoming two separate departments. So Teresa is still going to be overseeing the disability@nmt.edu email. So any questions sent there, I'm still going to get them for a while, simply because we don't want to lose anybody in the changeover, to make sure questions are answered, that people are referred to the correct people and departments. But again, all you have to do is say, hey, I need some help, I need support, and we start the process from there, and we guide you through the entire process until you get what you need. Victoria, did you have anything else specific that you wanted me to talk to regarding that?
No, just basically what are the different, like the different reasons on why we should go and visit the disabilities office.
Okay, well, the disability services is in place because of the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act. That was, I believe, 92. My gosh, don't ask me a specific date. But basically wants to make sure that everyone, regardless of disability, starts off on an even playing field and has equal access to everything, including education. And so if you're finding that you have a learning disability and that prevents you from finishing your exams in the time allotted, well, you come to us and we work with the professors in getting you extra time.
Yep.
That is something that you work with the disability services. Disability services are the ones who determine how much time. We notify anybody once we determine what your disability requires. So that could mean that you have access to a smart classroom. It might mean that you have a smart pen that actually records what you are hearing in class as you take notes. It might mean that you need a note taker, and so that way it's difficult for you to listen and to take notes at the same time. And we offer a service where you record it, you upload that, your class, and then it gets transcripted for you within anywhere between 24 and 48 hours, and you have an entire transcript of the class. It could mean extra time. It could mean that you have a disability that requires you to have a separate room. And we would then have a form that goes up to residential to say, hey, this person requires a single room. And we definitely help you with that and walk through the process. So there are a number of reasons why anyone could need disability services. And usually, if you had any kind of services like that in high school, that's just going to transfer over. And so that's a good indication that you might need our services in college, as if you did have them in high school. And we ask you about what worked in high school, what didn't work in high school. Here are some options, and it's a conversation. It's not that we say this is what you get. It's like, what works for you? How can we support you? Oh, so that worked? All right, let us see how we can get that for you, and let us see how we can support you to make sure that you're going in on an even playing field and you're not worrying about your disability while you are learning. And so we definitely want people, again, just to email us and say, hey, I need support, and let us help you with the process and figuring out what that support looks like. You don't have to have all the answers. Any other questions?
Well, why don't you give us something personal here? What's your favorite tech event? You and Laura, what's your favorite tech event? How is that part of your experience here and keeps you going?
My favorite tech event. Oh my goodness. Laura, do you want to answer that first? Because I'm going to think about that. Yikes. What do you say,
I just
Laura?
thought I'd ask it. Okay.
I have two answers to this, although one of them might not be happening this fall, unfortunately. But last fall, we brought back the fall musical at Tech.
Oh,
and
yes.
That was great. And I was in it, and it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yes.
That was great. I have to say that was good. I went to go see you, Laura. You were great.
So I think it's really good to be able to have those art interactions, especially at a STEM school, because it's really part of what helps make people feel more complete as a person. I feel like art's necessary, and so I'm very excited about the things that Tech brings in to help make sure our students have those sorts of artistic opportunities. And my second answer is I really like the International Women's Day luncheons, but I might be a little bit biased.
Well, I hear they're great, actually. I've not got to go, but I've heard they're great from folks who have gone from our staff. So they talk about them. So
I think I'm going to second her musical. I think that was a really fun time, and from the students, not only who went to see it, but who participated especially, really felt like they had a great time and that it really enriched their experience here. And so I think that was really great. Good call, Laura. What about you, Dave?
Oh, my favorite event is, of course, the Student Research Symposium. So
Oh, okay.
and that's of course one of the OSL events as well. So
Mm-hmm.
but I just get jazzed when I see our students succeed.
Oh,
You know, I
excellent.
mean, they've gone under the the time of research and figuring things out, and maybe made a poster, or they have to do a 3-minute speech about something in that 3-minute speech competition, or maybe even a larger circumstance like what they call oral presentations,
Mm-hmm.
8 to 9 minutes, and then answering questions, and they have multiple slides they use. I really like that emphasis here of educating to communicate. Okay,
Oh, I love that.
and that's something I think also relieves stress for students, because they learn here how to do that, and to get evaluations that are helpful, and to maybe do it again the next year. So this year we had it all online, but it actually pulled itself out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, and so normally we've had it as a event where, like, we had a big dinner for the oral presentations. It's kind of like the Hallmark thing, and then different places where we would do the different types of presentations for 3-minute or the posters. But this time around, we had everybody send things in. So a 3-minute speech was live sometimes on that type of a circumstance where you just bang, you had to do it. The posters, you could get to a number of chat rooms.
Nice.
Oral presentations were live, and I thought they all did superbly. So I like the fact that tech has ways not only to express yourself with drama or music or other types of art, or different clubs, but the SRS as an academic event is a pretty good way to enjoy your research and to enjoy sharing it, and getting better and better at it. So that's probably my favorite. I have to admit, though, as Laura knows, the monster lives in my house. So, I mean, the monster from Young Frankenstein. So, yes, I went to every show this year.
Oh, that's
Okay.
funny.
Oh, yeah. And
it's funny
Stephen
how
loved it.
it's funny how you mentioned how, oh, I think that's a stress reliever, doing oral presentations. So when you said that, I got stressed out immediately, thinking, oh, that's when they should come to us.
Well, afterward, it's not so bad. You feel a whole lot of relief. So
absolutely, when it's done, kind of like after a root canal, but absolutely.
Oh, keep the drill away. Okay, yeah. No, I think the experience is what makes the SRS better. Okay, you go through that and you realize everybody's there to help you. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, which is really a tech value.
Agreed.
Yeah. So as long as we're asking people, I'm going to go at Victoria. What's your favorite event, Victoria?
That's a hard one. I don't know.
Okay.
I go to a lot of different events on campus. I guess I'm kind of spread out everywhere. Let me think. One event that I can kind of think of that happens in the fall semester is the Halloween costume contest that they
yeah.
Nice.
there in Fidel. And I think it's pretty cool because you have like some professors that don't really talk much, or you're surprised by what kind of costumes you see with professors and students, and people just get so creative. And that's just something that comes to mind right now, is that whole contest. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I had forgotten all about that. That's a great one. Absolutely. And I think there should be a concerted effort to try and dethrone the rec department from winning that every single year.
They really are getting almost insufferable. So.
I know, but they have such great ideas. I mean, really, they're wonderful. But I think that should be a concerted effort, for others to band together and to come up with an even greater idea, if that's possible, because they do a great job every year and they win it every single year. But I think you're right. That's a great one. I totally didn't even think of that. Awesome.
Maybe Stephen and I need to come in our kilts and act like the boys from the Hebrides or something. I don't know.
I
But
support you.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's kind of fun, isn't it? Those are fun things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great stress relievers, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. So I'm wondering as we're talking in our, this tech spotlight, and I mean, I asked what your favorite tech event was, but the traditions here that we have, really have, there's a few of them that hit,
Mm-hmm.
not events, but traditions. Like 49ers is a tradition in my mind.
Yes.
And although that is, I guess, from the history reading I've been doing, tamed a little bit over the course of time.
Yes.
But with the parade and with other things and things like that, I would love for some tech traditions to get raised up a little more, just to because I think that's when the alumni come as well.
Yes, very much.
And it's when we get the alumni here along with the students, it just makes great connections for the future, especially, and for the present. So yeah. Now I'm looking at this list of possible questions, and it's so much fun. I'm just saying, I can tell you like working with students. What really gives you jazz moments, let's say, when you're working with a student?
When they have that kind of aha moment, and those don't come around a lot, or when
No.
someone definitely says, I feel so much better. I mean, that's huge. You want to be able to give someone support and have them say, hey, this really made a difference, even if it's just for right now, thank you. They don't have to say thank you, but the whole idea that what we do actually affects someone in a positive way. What do you think, Laura?
I think for me, it's going to have to be whenever I get to ask someone how they're doing, because I always start off my session, say, how are you doing? How are things been since I saw you last time? And I get the answer, better. Now, I don't care if it's better because instead of having 5 panic attacks, you only had 4. That is a celebration moment because that's an improvement. And so I really like finding and focusing on those small celebratory moments.
Agreed. Very, very true.
Well, the tech experience is a daily one, actually. You're facing, of course you have these papers and everything else that you're trying to do, but it's a daily experience. You're getting up and you're going and you're going to be presented with information and learning and all of those things. And so those experiences, those feelings change as a person
and it
goes
can
through
be
them.
very stressful, very stressful for people who are not used to the pace, because it can be a lot faster. It's definitely less structured. And so for students who don't know how to structure their time or to have good time management, that's another reason why they can come see us, because we can kind of get them started in that area. It's very different when you're in high school and you go to classes and it's a certain amount, and then you have study period, and you have, whatever you do after school, and then you have the time that you're supposed to do homework, and you have mom saying, hey, did you get that homework done, to kind of keep you on track. And that's not always the case here. And again, we just want everyone to know that we want everyone to see us as that support when mom's not around, and we'll help you kind of learn the skills that you're going to need to kind of learn to do it on your own and do it effectively. Laura, I see that you're ready to say something.
Yes, so Bob just asked us a question in the chat about events that we hold. I think he came in a little bit after we had that opportunity to talk about this a little bit. So throughout the semester, we hold a couple of events specifically. We try to get information from our students and from our faculty and staff as what they'd like to see us do. But we do hold events throughout the main fall and spring semesters to be able to either help educate or help people learn how to better manage whatever they're going through. So something we typically do is usually every fall we do something about test anxiety, because, well, that's a very real experience and we specifically host it. We try to do it right around midterms because if you're a freshman, those are your first midterms and maybe you're freaking out a little bit about it. We also partner with several other offices. So another event that we do, which I briefly mentioned, is that International Women's Day is one of my favorite events, but it's also something that counseling partners with several other departments around campus to be able to bring forth an event that's way bigger than anything we by ourselves would be able to produce.
And again, also in the past, we've had skill building workshops. We've had relationship workshops. What's the sign of a healthy versus an unhealthy relationship? Again, what was the last one? Intergenerational communication. And again, we are trying to find kind of shorter versions of our workshops that we can put online, something that we can do like on a Friday. So someone has time, like half an hour, maybe 15, 20 minutes, we give a little, hey, here's what you do if you have panic attacks, or here's what you do for depression, you know, try these and give us feedback. And then we will try and post them on our site. Again, this is new territory, so we're learning how to do this and how we can really facilitate better, I guess, outreach for students. So again, if you have any ideas, make sure to share them. And again, the Fresh Check Day that we're trying to do, that was a really big, that's that's a national program. And so we bring it here, we brought it here to Tech for the very first time last fall. It was great. We had over 200 participants. We had a lot of people volunteering. I think we had too many volunteers because we heard that you want to book more volunteers than less. And I think everybody who volunteered basically showed up, and we didn't expect that. But they were able to participate in the events as well. And again, once we figure out this whole COVID-19 and social distancing and what that means for a program like that, where it really is interactive, do we do it all virtual? Do we then do it all together? And if we do, how does that look? When will that be? So once we figure out some of those things, we're definitely going to be offering that. We just don't know how or when. But that's usually the biggest thing that we've started besides the International Women's Day, which again is a great, great program. I think my favorite thing of the International Women's Day is the Slam Poetry Night, which Laura did not mention, which I think is really fun. But that's just me. I had a good time at that. So Bob, we're hoping to see you at some of these in the future. And hopefully you'll have some feedback about what is really cool, what we can do to change or make it better. Because again, and then what would you like to see? We would love to hear what our students want to see from us. You know, and if that's an hour long versus 15 minutes of skill building, well, let us know that. We can work on that. We just need to know.
Brandon said poetry night, it seems, in the chat, you know?
Yes, poetry night. It was a slam poetry night as part of the International Women's Day festivities, not this last year, but the year prior. We had students get together and we let people get up on the open mic and read some of their own poetry. And then once we did that, actually everybody sat in a big circle. And what we did was, we thought was really great, everybody got to start with one line of a poem, and we passed all the papers around, and then the next person had to come up with the next line. So for how many, what were there, 13 people there? So we had 13 different poems that were started, each by individual person, and everybody got a chance to kind of add to the poems. And I thought that was the fun thing. And I actually collected all the poems and I scanned them and then sent them out to everybody who participated in that, because I think it was really wonderful. So yeah, hopefully we can see about getting that, Brandon, if you are interested.
Nobody does Tai Chi around here, right?
Yes, they do as a class.
Oh, yeah.
Sifu Doug does Tai Chi on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So that's, I believe, a continuing ed class. But yeah, if we could get him potentially do 10 minutes of a Tai Chi, I don't know. I just, when you mentioned that, that's what popped into my head. So I haven't been working on that at all because I didn't even think about it.
Well, we could all be out here in this big grass area and spread out, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. And then hopefully someone can video it and then we can put it on the site. So that way you can go back and say, hey, I did that. I want to do that again. Or, hey, I wasn't available. Available. Let's try that now. So.
I know the library does a strange thing that's fun. And I, you know, we catch different people doing it with us, and we'd have to figure out how to do it in the COVID-19 period. But, and that's Banned Books Week. We get people to read parts of banned books.
Oh, I did see that. I had a client, and when you did that, I wasn't able to go. I wanted to go to that.
Yeah. And of course, that's in September. And one of our librarians usually does it. But we've had professors and students read from banned books, and other people get to listen. You know, your favorite book, and or a favorite banned book, let us say. And I think that part of that is just to try to support the whole idea of reading, of course, but also the freedom to read and the freedom to think and to speak.
Right.
And I wonder, for some maybe who come here, you know, that maybe they're learning what it is to have a voice.
Oh, excellent point. Excellent point. And that's kind of the same thing in therapy. You're finding your voice and you're finding your truth and you're finding the courage to actually project it out there. Mm-hmm. So very good. I love that.
Yeah. So, and I realize that's not a counseling
if
program.
I can,
yeah, go ahead, Victoria.
If I could add something too, more towards Brandon and Bob. Once the semester starts, if you guys continue being part of the mentor program, or the mentor-mentee program, your mentor is there to go with you to certain events that maybe you want to check out and you haven't really, like, as starting freshmen, you kind of don't have a whole bunch of friends that like all the same things that you do. So if you ever want to check out an event and you have no one to go with, that's what us mentors are there for also. We go to these events with you, and it's just something that, like, we're there to help you guys out and experience things. Mm-hmm. So any of these events that they have, whether it's like events hosted from the counseling office, or if it's this slam poetry or anything like that, if you guys ever want to go once the semester starts and you all have your own mentor, that's what we're here for as well. Sure. So don't never be afraid of going somewhere, because that's what we're here for.
I love that. I didn't realize that. So I know that sometimes I get students who I didn't know I could offer that if they were a mentee. So that's mm-hmm. good for me to remind students. And Dave, I see you put Antiquarian Society. What does that mean? It sounds like
Antiquarian
something to be a member of.
The Antiquarian Society is a very erudite type of you know, group. I would mm-hmm. call them eccentric, but they make their own armor. They make their own swords. They do stuff out here on the grass on Saturdays. You know, so I'll be coming in to pick up something in the library and do something, and I'm seeing them, you know, do sparring, and sometimes they've got people walking on ropes between trees.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and they've got, well, the funny thing is that I know they own a trebuchet, okay?
Oh, wow.
You know, and I'm thinking Smashing Pumpkins with that one. But,
oh, that sounds awesome. Yes.
Yeah, and Laura's saying they'll let you sometimes try things out. Yeah. Or have you gone to that?
Laura.
Speaking to Laura.
I have walked through it and had lovely conversations with them several times.
Yeah, they're really engaging. They're very friendly. So. And like I say, there's some of those people from metallurgy that have made their own shields.
Mm-hmm, I've heard that too.
Yeah, and so it really is kind of funky. They just go out and have a good time, and I think they're out there for a couple hours, 10 to 12 or something like that. And,
great stress reliever.
Oh yeah.
I personally recommend pole arms.
Personally?
Yes.
That sounds like it comes with the story. I don't know if we have time for that, but I'd love to hear it sometime.
Yeah. Absolutely. Any other comments we want to have? We got, I think we got like about 6 minutes. So. I don't want to scare you with another question. So. Oh, Bob's got a good question there. Do you see it, Angela?
I do. Are there any stress relievers you recommend for freshmen? Well, see, that's the kind of thing that normally we would have someone come in, we'd chat about it. What are you doing? What are you not doing? What I normally suggest to people, what I'll say is, okay, so what did you used to do before you came to school that you aren't doing now because you're in school? And people will tell me lots of different things. A lot of it is reading, maybe playing an instrument, maybe riding their bike or something. And so we have a conversation about how do we incorporate that back in. So it's not just about freshmen, because I think that everybody needs to be able to relieve stress. And I think it gets stressful no matter what year you are here. But it's about getting back to what you enjoy. So if someone says, I really like to read, but I haven't been able to read for pleasure, and I'd say, well, how come? And we talk about that. And I'm like, you have to have a half an hour in your day in between classes. So put a timer on your phone after 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, you see where you are. You know, you have 10 more minutes before you're done. Do you finish the page and stop? Do you finish the chapter? Or do you just say, okay, I'm stopping right now? But we find ways that people can incorporate the things that they really like to do that they don't think that they have time for. And I always, always suggest go for a walk. It is the most beautiful place out here. It's warm, it is sunny. Go for a walk around the campus. It is 1.2 miles to walk around the campus. It takes about 25 minutes or so. That is a perfect stress reliever when you just need to clear your head. So that's a starter. But if there's anything else specific, again, we work with the client specifically. 30 minutes between classes on the chat room. It could be anything, absolutely. It could be, I have an hour in between my class and I want to read for half an hour. Okay, so you read for half an hour. Or I have a lunchtime and I'm going to go get something to eat, but I don't want to be late for my next class. We get that a lot. So it's finding, again, this is really time management. How can you fit in everything into your schedule that you need? And you need to have balance. And so you need these stress relievers. And so I start with 30 minutes. How can we find 30 minutes for you? And then as people start to find that it really works for them, well, how can we find you maybe an hour of something that requires much more time and energy? And so we work individually, but again, start where you can. If you can only get 10 minutes of reading in for pleasure, do that. And I always tell people, if you get nervous or worried, put a thing on your phone so that way the alarm goes off and you're not late for anything and you don't get stressed out. So again, and there's also for freshmen, I guess specifically, I'm just thinking before I get to you, Laura, that there are a lot of apps out there for your phone for mental health and well-being and wellness, where you can do a 5-minute meditation or 7-minute breathing or whatever it is. You can download these apps and that'll help you with stress relief. And that's pretty easy and pretty safe. And again, the walks never hurt anybody. So Laura, did you have more to add?
I sure do.
Okay.
And these are going to sound like the exact opposite of what Angela's telling you.
Yeah.
One of the
Depends on the
best
client.
things
That's right. It depends on the client.
that you can do to relieve your stress as a freshman is to take your syllabi as soon as you get it, put in absolutely every single due date, and also put in start dates at least 1 week before every single due date, so that you know what you need to do and when you need to do it, so that your assignments do not sneak up on you.
That is a great stress reliever.
Yep.
Which is the exact opposite of what Ange said, but definitely that relieves so much anxiety about realizing, oh man, I have an assignment that's going to take me 5 hours that's due tomorrow.
And you know, it doesn't matter how you get to the end point, as long as you get to the end point. So even though Laura and I offered very different suggestions, it depends on the person. Both are going to work depending on what your needs are. So I suggest that, hey, you know, if Laura's works better, then you do what Laura is suggesting, because that speaks to you, and then maybe you can get to something else. But again, the whole point is do something. Don't keep putting off your stress relief until midterms or finals, because by then it's too late. And
Yeah.
and there are resources. Exactly. We don't want you getting that stressed out. So we always encourage people to start coming in when you start getting stressed out, so we can talk about some of these things, get you in the habit of doing some of these things before the midterms come. So by that time, you're like, I got this. I know what I need to do. And you have time management and some good structure, and you're doing what you need to do in a balanced way. What would you say, Laura?
I'd say that's just about right. I also noticed this question, 30 minutes between classes. If I'm understanding your question correctly, there's usually about 10 to 15 minutes between when classes are scheduled. What she's talking about is if you have a break where you don't have the 10 o'clock to 10:50 class, you could use 30 minutes of that time.
Sure.
Right, correct. Good catch, Laura. I didn't understand that way.
Victoria, you're kind of overseeing this whole process. You got anything for us? Because we've hit the 5 o'clock mark.
No, the one thing that I can think of is, at least in my experience, it would have been nice to know that the counseling center was there for us to go to for help with stuff like that. I honestly didn't know we had all these counseling services until I was maybe a sophomore or a junior. And my transition into tech probably would have been a lot better if I knew you guys were there. Not only to help with like mental health issues and stuff like that, but it's kind of nice to know that you guys are also there to help us make that transition in a way and be able to kind of learn how to manage our time better, and stuff like that. I think I would have had a much better, not better, but a much easier transition into, because you guys are right, it is completely different coming from high school into college, and you don't really have as much structure as you did when you were in high school, but at the same time you have to make up for that lack of structure by yourself.
Right.
And I mean, now that I think about it, it's taken me up to my senior year and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what works best for me, because I've kind of been doing it all myself, but I'm sure getting that extra help from you all would be super beneficial to anybody. So that's kind of my spiel on that. I do recommend, I've always recommended people to go see you, but it's kind of nice to know that you guys also help with that. So that's something that I've learned today from your talk.
And what's interesting is that I've only been here 3 years and Laura's been here 2 years. And so since I've been here, we've tried to expand what we do and to do things a little differently. And so I don't think that prior to me being here that it was even advertised that that was an offer. I don't think the advertisement, I don't think that there was a thought about really marketing the counseling center and making sure that people were aware. And so I think that as we move forward, again, we're just learning how to do it. We're really interested in doing it and getting the message out there. And so we're definitely making more of an effort as we move forward, especially now with COVID, where we want to make sure that everyone is aware that we're here and what for. So that's really good feedback, Victoria. I really appreciate it, because that just lets us know where we still need to have some work and to put some more energy in. And I really appreciate that. Thank you. And it looks like we're at our time.
Yes, it does. I mean, this tech spotlight happens every week right now on Wednesdays at 4. So if you take a look, you'll find